So,
Hi, I'm Caitlin Crosby.
Caitlin, hi.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so
Hi.
much for being here.
Oh, yeah.
Caitlin, nice to meet
Hi,
you.
I'm Savannah.
Hello, Caitlin. Thank you
Nice
so
to
much.
meet you. Hi, I'm Savannah.
Hi, Savannah Valerie. Nice to meet you.
Savannah.
So you guys ready?
We are.
Alright.
Can I test the clicker before we go?
Yeah, of course.
Awesome.
So whenever you're ready.
47% of the global population currently uses cloud storage. Of that 47%, Dropbox maintains 24% of the market share. However, we do recognize that during the COVID-19 pandemic, there's only a period of 2 months where they endured a 50% increase in performance. And then after that, there was a decrease. They kind of dropped back down to pre-COVID levels. We also recognize that there is a saturated market, that we have great competitors that we're competing against. And this is something that we really have to focus in and hone in on and approach. We want to do this by really focusing on profitability, cost efficiency, and brand loyalty. And this is how we'll do it. We laid out our plan in 5 different steps. First, we'll dive into our analysis. We approach this through a SWOT analysis. First, we analyzed our opportunities and threats. As for opportunities, there's an increase in demand. With more people working at home, they have to have a place for cloud storage. Additionally, with more people working at home, there's an increase in need for security. People who are working by themselves in a remote location need to really have a place where they can store their files, but also share their files amongst their teamwork. So there's an increase in demand. Additionally, there are threats in the market. There are established competitors. We know that Zoom and we know Amazon and Google are all competitors who have a really well-established place in the market. However, they're thinly spread. They are across a wide variety of products, whereas we as Dropbox really just focus on cloud storage and sharing documents. So that really leads us to one advantage in the market. Then we wanted to analyze our weakness, which would provide opportunities for expansion, growth, and kind of editing where we are. The main one that we focused on is user interaction. We all know Amazon. We go into Amazon, we order things every single day. It's a reliable place. It's almost like a personality. Your package is going to be delivered on time. You can search and really understand that they will have anything, pencils, backpacks, anything that you can imagine. Dropbox, we're almost lacking that. We understand that there is a place where you can store your files, but who is Dropbox? What's their personality? How can I engage with them or relate with them? We really highlighted this as a key component that we can emphasize in Dropbox's growth into globalization. Then finally, we focused on our strengths. We really want to make sure that we highlight and emphasize our strengths while we grow, because this is something that we've already established. We boiled our strengths into our DNA and saw that quality as reliability through security is our main strength. While our competitors are widespread, we boil down to this one thing, that if you place your documents in Dropbox, they will be secure, you can access them from anywhere, and you can share them amongst other people. And so this is who Dropbox is. To further analyze Dropbox, we wanted to understand the key components of the financials.
Yes, so we looked at the revenue breakdown. As you can see from the past few years, the international market makes up about 49% of their revenue. And this is one of the reasons why we believe that, yes, Dropbox should keep on investing globally. Because if they do just abruptly stop all those investments, that can lead to possibly reduced return on investments and also lead to a reduction in the revenue growth, which we both know. If you have, which we all know, if you have like a CFA somewhere invested in Dropbox, they do not like to see that revenue growth go down. All right, so we also looked at their clients. We compared both the B2B market and the B2C market. As you can see that graph that shows that there's an average growth rate of 10% in the amount of clients they're able to reach every year. And this is way higher than they're able to do in the B2C market. So that is why we're saying yes to globalization and yes, be an agile company and make sure you take advantage of that new opportunity that has been created in the B2B market. So we are for globalization and we are for B2B market. Moving on with our recommendation. This two sections shows us what globalization looks like now with Dropbox and what we want it to look like moving forward. So now, globalization looks like creating data centers. It looks like creating all these offices in this global locations. But now, with the work from home model, globalization does not need to look like that anymore. Now we're saying with the current offices, with the way my teammate hit me said, we want to be present. Like take Japan, for example. They need that presence in their locations. That's why we are introducing a model called Drop in with Dropbox, which Savannah will talk about later. So I want you to be excited about that. Then moving forward, globalization will look more like targeting companies, US companies, that have global locations. So that is how we look forward to enter into new global market by targeting big US companies that have offices in other locations. Then to assist those locations, our work from home model will look like putting employees that do like customer support in those locations to be able to help, because we are hoping that as these companies that have locations abroad, we are hoping that, because businesses, they love word of mouth. So if one business can tell another business that this is how Dropbox is, we have our work from home employees ready to help those new clients that we would get in those global locations. Now let's talk about how it would work with the money. So the thing with Dropbox, they already invest globally. They have that capital that they're investing every year. So that's this big circle. Now the green is representing how they're currently investing, the offices, the data centers. Now we're saying, we also looked at their 10K and it showed in 2020, can you imagine that Dropbox lost about 300 million in impairment of real estate assets? That shows that because of the work from home, like all these assets that has already been created and built in these locations are losing money. Now we're gonna save it, right? So they're losing money, but with Dropbox, it's gonna be used to help have that business, the business identity in these new offices. And once again, Savannah will tell us more about that moving forward. Now, the remaining side of the pie chart shows how we would instead continuing to regularly make these offices, we're gonna split the remainder of the funds. One side of the fund will be used to support the new work from home expansion. Now remember, we no longer need to build offices, so that cost is reduced. And I'm thinking that could be about 25%. We don't need to do that anymore. All we need to do now is salaries and wages for these employees, no more offices. And we're also going to talk more about how we would target the best markets. And then the remainder of the funds would be used to take advantage of the new opportunity in the B2B expansion that we'll talk about later.
So what exactly is Drop-In with Dropbox? Dropbox currently has these beautiful offices across the globe that, as they've switched to this virtual first work from home model, that are sitting almost vacant, but they're great workspaces. And like Caitlin acknowledged, Dropbox is not currently a very personable brand. They don't have much interaction since they are a tech company. We believe that by opening up those office spaces to clients, employees, we can have more of that customer interaction, get people excited about using Dropbox. If companies hear that they can actually have employees work within those offices, people might be more inclined to use Dropbox and to take advantage of these amazing office spaces that, like Oyinda said, are just currently not adding any value to the company.
The second pillar of our plan focuses on globalization and the network effect. So our funds will be allocated to really targeting global companies within the US, either growth or already stabilized. So we'll target these companies that are global. We recognize that one of our main strengths is networking. So once we infiltrate Dropbox into the company will take it global. Then these global employees will be working with Dropbox. Word of mouth will spread within these communities, and that's really how our network effect will take place. By doing this with multiple large companies, we'll see the spread of globalization almost happen naturally and take an invisible hand flow to it. Finally, we'll focus on strategy.
Yes, so for the B2B expansion, as previously explained, now we have more money that we can use to spend. And if you look from the case, we realize that as Dropbox is a big company, as you can see, the research and development I'm expecting, we're assuming it's gonna stay constant. And that is because, unlike B2C, they already know how this market works. Dropbox was trying to infiltrate the B2C, trying to get more volume. That would take way more research and development. But in this market whereby you already know how it works, you would only be spending more money, for your employees, more like the sales and marketing, general and administrative expenses. So what we did was to say, if this new opportunity will grow the market at about 13% revenue, and if we're able to take percentage of revenue of sales and marketing, general administrative, and have that go up, because operating expenses will be reduced and at way less than how much revenue you'll be getting, we're expecting operating income to keep growing and being able to actually capture all that revenue. That in case we were able to say, in case we want to expand the drop-in with Dropbox, we can take all this extra revenue and put it into that sector to make sure that we're able to both build presence and take advantage of this section.
So now we're going to look at how we plan on actually implementing these recommendations. So first, drop in with Dropbox. We understand we are going to have to do some office transitions as we anticipate kind of more people coming back into the office, making it a welcoming space for other people. And also, we will of course need to let our clients and their employees know about it. And so we have that information. We have their emails, running an email marketing campaign and informing them that, hey, this is something we can do. You can come into our office, you can find a space to work, maybe as those employees are traveling and things like that. It's a place that is welcoming. So we kind of talked about how we would continue globalizing and we would continue this work from home and expanding and following that network and targeting US companies that operate globally. So one of kind of the test markets that we see this working very well, where we would want to have some work from home employees working with those US companies that are operating abroad and using Dropbox, is Sweden. So Sweden, they have tons and tons of US companies operating, especially if you look at Stockholm. Their Hofstad dimensions really align, and I'll dive more into that. But culturally, their values fit very perfectly with the values that Dropbox has. And lastly, 2018, 26% of the workforce in Sweden was already working from home. That's pre-COVID numbers, so they're used to this, they like it, the model is proven to work. So looking at that Hofstad analysis, if you look, there's a very low power distance and high individualism, which in the case of Dropbox, you can make the assumption that they value security. They value data privacy, that this is my right. EU is very big on that right now. It's a huge topic of conversation. And it's this idea that my data is mine and I want it to be stored in a secure place. Also looking at indulgence, Sweden scores very high on this dimension. They are willing to pay those premiums if it means maintaining those other values. And so we expect through word of mouth, which has proven very beneficial to Dropbox, that people will spread the word about Dropbox and that they will be willing to indulge and purchase the premium and going past just premium. And the pestle dimensions completely align with this as well, if you look at that. So politically, they're an EU member, which data privacy is a huge concern. It's very politically stable, very high GDP per capita. People are willing to invest. It's highly developed. There's many people working from home. That's part of the culture. There's lots of digital entrepreneurs, people storing lots of files. They align on values of Dropbox, and legally it's pretty easy to enter. And so Sweden is perfect to test this market. So overall, these recommendations really focus on lowering those costs, utilizing those assets that they already have, and really building that connection with their customers. And we would love to take any questions that you may have.
All right, thank you. So yeah, we'll start the 10-minute Q&A.
Sure. So, can you explain to me a little bit more about drop-in with Dropbox? So that's your strategy for taking the offices that you no longer need and for making money with them, right? What's your evidence that there's a need for that? And then is that kind of like part of your business is becoming like WeWork now? What's your evidence for the need for that in the areas where you have the leases?
So as far as, it's not necessarily meant to, as a way to build profits as much as it is to build that brand presence and establishing those connections. So currently the offices just are kind of sitting there, and they are leasing out some of it as they realize that it's not as necessary. But we see it as an opportunity to just take what they already have, these assets that they've already poured capital in, and allowing people spaces. And so we've seen that people, like you said, WeWork, people do like having alternative places to work, especially when you are thinking about working with global companies that you're traveling and maybe you want to just pop into an office. I know for us yesterday, we were searching for coffee shops and they're closing, and sometimes you just want that place to work. And even Dropbox employees still probably may have that desire to go into the office some. So we're seeing it as less of a way to make money off of the model and more as a way to build those connections with customers.
Yeah, it's a great question, and I would like to follow up on that as well. What is the demand for these kind of services out there? You know, even if we just take one market that you would like to go into, Sweden, and then does Dropbox have office space in Sweden currently?
Sweden does not currently have a Dropbox office. As for demand for the office space, we more so wanted to do it to build brand loyalty. So the way that we looked at it is there's currently a travel agency app that just built a gaming platform. So each day, each person goes onto the app, and it's like a farming thing. So they have to water the plants every single day. But by doing that, they built like a brand sense of dependence. And so then when the person is going to book a trip, they think of that agency first. So the way that we kind of launched off of that is not necessarily that there's a demand, but it's almost like we're here for you, we can support you, and you can come into our office to work. We're a living brand, and that's something that we really wanted to depict. So by creating a cool office space off of the losses that we're already kind of enduring and offering that to our customers as a place to come in can just enhance their review of our company and our performance, while also opening a space for collaboration for them to work together.
What was the other? Could you have a summary slide of what your kind of overall business plan was? Refresh my memory.
Oh, probably before that one.
Yeah. So it was drop in with Dropbox, and then there was the second thing. What was it?
That's the globalization through targeting global companies.
That is interesting. So how does that? So Dropbox in the case talks about how they were able to successfully early on leverage a strong network effect. So people started using it, small businesses, freelancers and stuff, and they were able to kind of through word of mouth build a brand. So how does this new network effect work? And the same way, because it seems to me that there are differences with the people you're targeting, and that the network effect might not work the same way. So I wonder if you could drill into that a little bit deeper and let us know how you think that would work.
So, in the current side, like you said, the
Because,
network.
get to not to cut you off, but Teams, right? Like, why is it better than Teams? Like, I go to Microsoft Office, I've got Teams, I've got a complete solution. You know, it's easy to manage, it's not that expensive, it works with stuff that I already need. So, how is it better than that?
It's better because when you see businesses, most times they really treasure security. And what they want, like Dropbox is already well known with these businesses. So we are targeting US companies that work globally because they already know how good like we are as Dropbox. And one thing we do want to emphasize on is letting these companies know how flexible we do work with these other software. So we do work well with Microsoft Office, we do work well with Google Cloud, and if we can still give you better rates, it would cost you so much more to try to change your platform than our platform. Now for new customers, we are also, another thing that we added was to make sure that one thing that comes with this new customers is the support from the work from home model, which means normally we've realized, even the case students, it takes a lot of money for businesses to change their platforms, right? So we are given that whenever we get new companies, our support is meant to help them with that transition process. So normally, like even I work as an RA, resident assistant in school, and when we had to change how we use our on-duty phones, the old department had to teach us, like they had to do training in-house. What about if we are willing to do that training? That sets us apart from, because I looked at other competitors. They have a limit on how many times you can call customer support and things like that. But although we do have a limit that's way more, we are saying that right from the onset, we would be giving you that support system to take care of that transition process, so you don't have to do that in-house.
To follow up on that, this is really interesting what you were talking about, and I love the question that you guys posed at the start. Who is Dropbox? So who is Dropbox? Could you guys tell us in a sentence, please?
Yeah, Dropbox is a dependable platform where you can place your documents and understand that they're secure, and they're a leading competitor in the market. They have defined this as a secure box that you can keep your files in. That's our identity.
So with that, if I may.
Go.
Okay. If we're talking about files, right, and secure documents, and that security, you guys keep mentioning that, which I think is really important, especially like you said for the EU. What kind of B2B markets would be the best priority right now for Dropbox?
For security-wise.
Security and file management.
Yes. I think the best markets for our beginning launch would honestly be growth companies. And so that would be companies where maybe they've started in a remote situation. They're really trying to start out in Zoom all the time. I know my brother just started a company and they're entirely remote. They need a place where they can convince single-handedly in a 15-minute Zoom call that every single employee document will be secure. And that is what we're going to target. And so then when you're saving your documents as an employee, you can understand that, yes, everything I do will be secure. And Dropbox has a feature for the authoritative figure to oversee how their files are being shared and throughout the company, so that if there were a breach in the system, they can look into the file history and see specifically which employee accessed which document at which time. And so this is really a great way to build a growth company foundation on data security and file sharing.
Like entrepreneurship type approach?
Yes. Yes.
For one more question?
Just a general curiosity of something you said. You mentioned at the beginning that there was a 50% increase for 2 months. That piqued my curiosity. Like, what was behind that
Yes.
increase, and why did it stop?
Yes, so with Dropbox in the beginning opening paragraph of the case, it defined the kind of the walkthrough history of Dropbox, and that during COVID, while all kind of companies were launching, like Zoom was really hopping on this trajectory of like a 600% growth rate, Dropbox really did kind of initially catch that with a 50% kind of performance increase in 2 months. However, the piece that we highlighted that was that after 2 months it dropped back down to the pre-COVID rates. That's why this implementation strategy is necessary, because we see that with this work from home strategy, there's another opportunity for us to really catch on of this environmental opportunity for Dropbox.
So, yeah, thank you